Hail to the king, baby. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Franchise Deep Dive with Jake and Josh, the podcast where we dive deep into all of your favorite and least favorite movie franchises, giving our thoughts and opinions on the individual films we discuss, as well as breaking into behind the scenes facts and trivia. I'm Jake.
And I'm Josh.
And today we are continuing our Evil Dead franchise deep dive by closing out the original Raimi trilogy with Army of Darkness from 1992, of course, directed by Sam Raimi. Budget of around $11 million, box office of 21.5 mil, and a critical Rotten Tomato score of 69% with an audience score of 87%. And let me tell you, I side with the audience, baby. They got it right this time. I don't side with the audience too often, but this time they got it right. Sorry, critics, you dead wrong. But yeah, Army of Darkness. Should we read this IMDb synopsis, and then we will obviously get into our history with the film as well as the behind the scenes facts and trivia, and then we'll get into the discussion. So, going off of what IMDb has to say to set the stage for this little flick here, let me make sure I got it right. When Ash Williams is accidentally sent back to 1300 AD, he must retrieve the Necronomicon and battle an army of the dead in order to return home. Little bit different than the last two films.
Just a tad.
I don't I don't think on the second episode for Evil Dead 2, I think we briefly brought it up, but we didn't really get into the nitty-gritty of it. But essentially that film kind of ends with Ash, or not Ash, but Annie, the daughter of the owner of the cabin, reading off the spell from the Necronomicon pages and casting the spell that will bring the evil spirit into the human world and materialize it. And then the second part of the spell, which is to send it back in time. But of course, how that film ends is the giant vortex not only swallows up the evil and the car and a bunch of trees and shit, but Ash himself gets sucked into the vortex and sent back to 1300 AD, to where at the end of the second film, he shoots a pterodactyl that also looks like a deadite, and then they all start cheering his name, which is not how this movie starts.
Yeah, that's my first note to start off my notes is, why not at least just, I don't know, I think it was just an excuse to have the pit in there, but
well, I think they've because we had kind of mentioned on the previous episode that originally Army of Darkness was supposed to be the plot of the direct sequel to The Evil Dead, but then producers and the production company were the ones who kind of stepped in and was like, no, we kind of want to do the same thing that we already did, with the first one. That's why you do get a lot of the similar beats, even though tonally the film is a lot different in Evil Dead 2 from the first film. But with Army of Darkness, yeah, I think they kind of wrote themselves into a hole to where they were like, because this is a short movie. This is like an hour and 20. I think even Evil Dead 2 is somewhere around an hour and 20. They all are very, very brisk, easy watches. So I think they kind of were like, oh, we don't have enough here for a feature. So we gotta create a little bit of animosity when Ash first arrives in medieval times. Which, did you see what one of the original titles for this movie was?
Yeah, and I'm so mad.
Dude, it's so good.
I know. I don't know why the studio wanted to separate from the successful two. Like, I did this suffer for it? It had to have.
Well, I mean, so 2 financially did the worst. I think it's critically the most well-received, and I'm not sure if at the time it got as much critical acclaim as it has now. Like, now it is a staple of horror cinema. But it didn't do that well at the box office. Easily the worst out of the 3 in regards to Evil Dead 2. This one doing much better in terms of like box office results and everything, even if it's not as critically well received. But it is weird. Like you view it from today's lens where everything is a remake, everything is a sequel. They are doing everything in their power, these production studios, to tie it into some IP, tie it into some property. Hell, half of the remakes that we get nowadays, or even some sequels, literally some sequels to horror films, just have the name of the original. Now we have 3 different movies with the name Halloween. we have two different movies named Scream, whereas in one of them is actually the original and the other is the fifth one in the franchise. Candyman, which is a direct sequel to the original Candyman from 1992, also just called Candyman. So it is weird that you read that trivia fact and you're like, the studio didn't want to be associated with the previous entries. But I don't think either of us said the title. It's The Medieval Dead.
It's
so
way
I think
better.
that is awesome. But to be fair, I do like the title Army of Darkness. And kind of before we get into trivia, and I guess we already kind of started with that little piece of trivia about the title, I love that there is this, sure, we have 5 Evil Dead movies, but if you're solely looking at this original trilogy before the remake and before the 2023 film, I love that we have such a weird and unique little trilogy of films because it is very rare in the grand scheme of cinema to have a trilogy of films all starring the same character with the same actor and all 3 directed by the same director, and each one has such a wildly different tone to it. Yeah, you could say that Army of Darkness leans more into the comedy, kind of like how Evil Dead 2 does, but it's set during the medieval fucking period. Like, it's got a full-on battle sequence. A full-on fantasy battle sequence.
Yeah, it's got Helm's Deep before Helm's Deep was a thing.
Yeah, like, legitimately. And it is, like, not to talk about it too much yet, because I want to break into it more when we talk about and discuss the film itself, but a genuinely well-done, well-filmed battle sequence in this, like, horror comedy movie, which I just think is really cool and unique. But yeah, did you remember reading up any cool trivia or making up facts? I myself kind of noticed that this one had a lot less information about it than the first two.
Honestly, I didn't really look into trivia on this one as much as the first two. I'm kind of looking through some now, but
I had written down a couple.
Did you find any, like, notable ones?
Yeah, so there were a couple of cool ones that I thought. One that was kind of lending itself to this one and Evil Dead 2, but since there was less information about this one than there was the previous two, is in the second one and in this one, did you ever notice that anytime he sets the or turns the chainsaw on, that it has, like, black smoke emitting from it?
No.
Okay, so in the first film, when they use the chainsaw, you get your kind of typical just white smoke that kind of emits from it. But in the second and third one, when you see it, there's, like, this very harsh, dark-looking black smoke that emerges, and you're like, wait a minute, smoke is not supposed to look like that. And the way they got that effect in both films is they actually had a tube that they connected and fed through Bruce Campbell's shirt that would lead all the way up his sleeve to his one arm that was holding the chainsaw, and it was kind of obscured, and it would look like the smoke was just coming from the chainsaw instead of his arm sleeve. And Sam Raimi, behind the scenes, would smoke cigarettes and blow the cigarette smoke through the tube, and that way, when it emitted from the chainsaw, supposedly that's how they got the effect to get, like, the black looking smoke. So I thought that was kind of cool and interesting. They do that in both. This one I thought was really interesting in terms of just, like, filmmaking and film practice, but supposedly a lot of the film was shot with multicam setups that were simultaneously rolling so that there'd be wide shots and close-ups rather than shooting a master first and then a close-up later on. And it made things a lot harder because one of the funny little bits of trivia that you read about this movie is, and if you know anything about Sam Raimi, is he is self-admittedly a big fan of putting his actors through very tumultuous filming processes, to the point where when they were designing the fight choreography for Ash that happens later on in the film, he specifically told the choreographer to make it as complex and as difficult for Bruce as possible, which made it even harder because not only is he having to do this extremely well choreographed, fight choreography, but he's doing it against things that aren't in the image, because there's a lot of, like, stop motion and there's a lot of kind of keying going on in post-production in this movie that a lot of the times when Bruce is, like, swashbuckling and doing these sword fights, he's not fighting something there. So it's, like, very kind of reminiscent of per se like something like Empire Strikes Back, where so much of that movie is Mark Hamill just acting opposite a puppet that doesn't fucking talk, with somebody under the table operating it in Yoda. So I just thought that was kind of like a cool, interesting way to do it. And like they had said that, like Bruce specifically had said that it was like very difficult because it made recording audio very difficult, because it was a lot tougher to hide boom mics and shotgun mics in the shots, since they were rolling those wide shots and the close-ups at the same time. Apparently very similar to the first two movies in terms of trying to act in the special effects makeup that they just caked on these actors. The actress who plays Sheila in the movie, the sort of love interest of this film, she apparently had a very, very difficult time acting in that makeup, to the point where there were certain shots where she genuinely couldn't see through the makeup that they had put on her, and that she just was getting direction from people that she couldn't even see in terms of like where to move throughout a scene. So definitely sounds like not the easiest filming process, even though it seems like it was a lot more planned out than per se like that first movie, which was a lot of just like guerrilla filmmaking, run and gun style stuff.
I heard with Sheila, I can't remember what it was that kind of set her off, but I don't know if it was just like the conditions or the experience, but apparently she was thought about quitting acting after that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like that,
it's like the story of all three of these movies is just like at some point or another, every single person thought about quitting the production. But I had read, I think, what you're talking about, but I think she had said like years after the fact, she had come around to the fact that it was a really fun experience overall, and that even though it was kind of tumultuous during the filmmaking process, that the overall product that they ended up coming out with was well worth the animosity, I guess. So kind of cool.
And then she would go on like the next year to do Schindler's List, and Miss Honey from Matilda, I think, right? That's who that is.
Yeah, I believe so. It's been a while since I've seen Matilda, but yeah. No, and that's where I'm not sure if you have any other behind the scenes. The other one that I thought was kind of interesting, obviously with the bigger budget, and obviously since it's not just a cabin in the woods type story like the first two movies, so you have a lot more locations. The filming was done on location in Bronson Canyon and Vasquez Rocks Natural Area Park, with the huge Castle Kandar set built near Acton, California, right on the edge of the Mojave Desert. So we're kind of steering away from that whole like creepy atmosphere with the whole cabin in the woods seclusion thing, and just going full on fantasy with knights and swords and castles and all that cool stuff. But if you're ready, I'm willing to break into the actual discussion for the film itself.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
So let's kick things off with a little animosity between us, Mr. Josh. I know that you like this film. I know that I love it a lot more. And I feel like you hold this in less of a high regard than the first two, and I would just like to ask why. And I don't need this to be a big debate between us. You know, we're not here to argue. I'm just curious where you stand, or what you find significantly weaker about Army of Darkness than you do Evil Dead 1 or 2.
So, like Jake said, I need to say that I do like this film. I actually quite like this film. Put a little heart on it on Letterboxd too.
He quite likes it. Yeah.
But I mean, I got a shirt of it. I wouldn't have done such things if I didn't like it. But
oh yeah, show off that bad boy. It's a gorgeous looking shirt right there. You got Bruce Campbell's just shredded abs. Yeah,
the abs. Not mine, his.
It's a great poster. Not to derail completely.
No, yeah,
I love the poster for all three of these movies. Yeah.
So, again, I think this just comes down to taste. And even though I just said I liked it a lot, I don't think, if I'm judging it as a movie compared to the others, I don't think a lot of stuff lands for me the way it does for 1 and 2. So, in terms of, I think there's some creative stuff here. I don't think he really loses his edge entirely. It feels more prominent and important in the first two. So I'll just go from the last one we talked about. First off, the gags are just better. I think 2 is way funnier, and I think this one leans even more into the comedy, but it doesn't hit it as hard. So I think this is even more absurd than the second one. I don't think it says like, well, they're both crazy in their own way, but it just doesn't. I enjoy it. It's like fun, but it's not as funny. But I think it tries to be. but it feels like cheaper. Like it's full of one-liners, and I get that's what it is. It's supposed to be ridiculous. It just doesn't work as much, and Ash doesn't work as well for me in this one as he does the second one. And he might for other people, but I don't know. He just seems a little bit more hollow in this. You know, like there's like an arrogance to him, which is fine, but I don't know. He seemed like a mashup more in the second one, where he is heroic and he is quippy and he is kind of like, you know, he's very funny, but I don't know. There just seems to be like he's kind of like a caricature. It seems like in this one. So I don't know. That was just a big difference of like a quality drop from me, and I miss the Deadites in this. The skeletons are fun. They're a lot of fun. They're funny. I love when they're playing the instruments on the bodies of their own. You know, imagine playing instruments on like limbs of your people, but
utter hilariousness.
You kind of you miss all the cool effects too. Like you get. There are good like practical effects, but not in the sense of like, you know, blood and gore. Not that I'm saying that would make it better, but I don't know. It's what the first two did. I'm getting more quality there, and I'm getting. It seems like just more of what I think made those movies good, and because that's missing in this, and that's kind of what makes this trilogy, this series, something I respect and enjoy. The fact that that's missing, it's almost like non-existent. Just feels a little different to me. I can still enjoy this film, and I do think it is good in some ways. Just those things piled up, I think there's a quality drop, and I don't think that's crazy to say. I don't know. I
would just like to, I guess. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say like even the love interest. It's like funny. But it's so out of nowhere. It's like undercooked. It's just I don't know. It's very shallow. Yes. But you might like that.
Yes, but it lends to one of the best lines in the movie with Sheila, where she approaches Bruce after he's kind of hailed as a hero to the people because he was able to dismantle the Deadite in the pit, and he has this line, and it's just so great. And it's, first you wanted to kill me. Now you want to kiss me. Blow. And it's so... And listen, I completely understand where you're coming from, but to me again, it's just about what the film is going for. And so, yeah, I don't think there is as much blood and gore. I don't think it's a drop in quality. I think it's just going for something else. Like, yeah, you could say that you miss, like, the Deadites, but the practical effects and the makeup on the skeletons and the Army of the Dead look fucking great, in my opinion. Whether it's the practical nature of just the prosthetics that they put on them, or the moments in the film, especially during that battle sequence where you have a lot of stop motion being incorporated again. I think there's just a lot to appreciate in this movie. And sure, if the comedy doesn't work as well for you, then I completely understand it lowering your perception of this movie. But for me, I love a lot of the comedy elements in this movie. And whereas, sure, maybe I'm just coming up with reasons to defend it, similar to Evil Dead 2, where, yeah, why does he go back to the bridge? In the first movie, he already saw that the bridge was collapsed. I also, small note, I love how in each movie they recast Linda. It's a different actress in each one, and not a single one of them even remotely looks alike. It's like in each one, she's got a different haircut, facial shape is completely different. At the very least in Back to the Future 2, they at least try to cast an actress that looks a little similar to Elizabeth Shue, and then they also just like sideline her for the rest of that movie anyway. But back to Army of Darkness, I just think that, yeah, again, if that comedy is not going to work for you, but I think there's a lot of hilarious moments. I think the whole bit with Ash versus Evil Ash is fucking great. You know, the whole moment where, and that's a great practical effect too, where the bad Ash is like growing out of good Ash. And then you get that whole little, probably the most Three Stooges-esque sequence in this entire series is that whole sequence where he fights good Ash and then ends up fighting the Bones of like the skeletons. They're just like popping out of the ground and yeah, and poking him in the eye and slapping him in the face. And again, like that's where like I can totally understand your sentiment about being like, oh, this his character in this movie is different. And my justification for that is I think he is just broken. His mind is broken. He spent an entire movie in the last film losing his fucking mind and losing his sanity and just going crazy to the point where the literal objects around him are starting to move in synchronicity with him and laugh at him. He spent half of the last movie fighting his own fucking hand. And now, at the end of that movie, he gets sucked into a fucking wormhole and sent to 1300 AD. That's psychotic. Like, whose brain? My brain would just shut down after that.
He and feels so in this consistent movie, in the second one, though. He feels consistently like losing his mind. He doesn't feel like that in this one.
But because I think in this one he's just accepted it. He's just been like, yeah, this is the state of things. And you could make an argument that sure, that kind of that hollowness and that egotistical nature isn't super present in the first two movies, but I don't know. I don't see it as too much of a flaw in this film because I like the Ash that we get in this one, whereas he gets his kind of hero moment in the second one. Towards the end there where he kind of gets he makes the decision to go down in the cellar with the shotgun and, you know, the chainsaw attached to his arm and everything. But in Army of Darkness, he's thrust into this god-awful situation. I love how the movie starts with his narration too, where he's just walking in like the chain gang and you just start with that narration. I almost went with that as the opening quote where he goes, "My name is Ash. And I'm a slave." It's just like so out of pocket for this character, but he does get the one-liners in this movie. He is turned into more of like an action star than just like the lead protagonist of a horror film. And again, that just lends back to I love that each movie in this trilogy feels so uniquely different. In the first film, Ash is kind of just like a bumbling buffoon. He's not even, at first he doesn't even seem like the main character. You know, Scotty's the one driving the car. Scotty's the one who found them in the cabin. Scotty's the one who goes down in the cellar before Ash does. Scotty is the one who enters the cabin first while the rest of them look at him. So it doesn't even feel like Ash is the main character until you realize, oh, he's kind of the sole survivor of this movie. Evil Dead 2, they kind of put him more in the driver's seat. And again, especially the first half of that movie is just him losing his sanity and going batshit crazy. Now he's in the forefront, but now it's like, hey, this isn't just like a horror comedy. This is like an action adventure fantasy epic. And I think in that regards, it does really work. And like I said, if the comedy doesn't work, that's neither here nor there. I don't think it's a drop in quality. I still notice a ton of great shots in this movie, a ton of great framing choices. I love the scene when he is showing off his shotgun to all of the commoners. And he's like, "This is my boomstick." And you get that POV shot of him showing it to them. You get a very similar shot in this one to the second one when Jake gets pulled into the cellar and the blood just starts spurting out everywhere. You get that in this one, but it's with the pit and the blood just starts flowing out of the pit. And I think you get a lot of stuff that you get in the first two movies. You just get different variety in this one, I think which I appreciate.
You said something very interesting. Now, I'm not, well, I might have to wait till the end to say it because I know your rating for this. So yeah. I can't. Okay. I can at least say you just said you don't think it's a drop in quality. So you think it's on par with the second?
Okay, not Josh. That's not okay. There's a difference in.
It is a drop in quality.
But like.
So what about this is worse compared to the second? Because for me, I think obviously, like I said, the 1 and 2 are the same. Like they're like very similarly scored. So I look at them a little closer than you do. Obviously, like your scores were very different for 1 and 2.
Okay, let's put it this way. I think on it is in terms of quality, I think it looks nicer than the first one does. Probably, you know, more money, so you get more money for special effects. You get more money to pay better editors and better people on set. It's less of a, you know, ragtag group of friends just making a film. And again, while that does add charm to the first one, and again with this one, you have around $8 million more. So I think certain things look better. I think the sets look really great. Again, I think the prosthetics and makeup Whereas that's where you said that you felt there was a dip in quality. You felt like the gore wasn't quite there, and you felt like the special effects weren't quite there, and you felt like you missed the Deadites. Whereas I can understand that, but I just don't agree with those criticisms. I think all of that, the special effects look great. Like, I love that part where Bad Ash is brought back to life, and he's trying to say Sally Forth, but every time he tries to say Forth, his jaw detaches until the third time when he shoves it back into place. Like, that's
I also
not
don't care for
you?
Bad Ash. I don't care for Bad Ash that much.
Oh, that's just personal preference, I guess.
Yeah, but I gave other things that I feel like aren't as apparent as I do in the second one, and I know you do too. So I think there is a drop in quality for you in some way. Like, you don't think this is as good as the second.
I just think the overall experience of the second film is superior. I think maybe the pacing is a little bit better. I just, in the areas that you feel that it, obviously my score for this is going to be lower than Evil Dead 2, but I do put it in a very similar tier to Evil Dead 1. And just in terms of overall quality of filmmaking, like, I do still notice some good shots. I actually, the one thing that I think is done better in this than in Evil Dead 1 or 2, I really like the music in this film. I think the score that they implement into the whole fantasy aesthetic and setting, I think it's really fitting. I think it's very triumphant and very just powerful at certain points. Combining that with, again, what I had mentioned earlier about, I think the battle in this film looks fantastic. I think, obviously, it's not on par with something like a Helm's Deep, a movie that has a ton of fucking money behind it and a ton of prep time and resources. But for a fantasy battle sequence in an $11 million film in 1992, I think it looks really fucking good. Like, all around. The choreography, the set pieces, just the way that the battle unfolds, the kind of heroic Deus Ex Machina moment of Duke Henry showcasing or showing up and arriving and saving the day. I think there's a lot of good elements in it. And the editing is really crisp in this movie. Maybe the most crisp in all three of them. Just personally, at least.
Yeah, maybe I didn't notice it as much. And I just don't think Ash is as strong. Also, I just think he's way stronger.
I think you just don't like how he's written. I think you don't like how he's written, but I think for the movie we're given, and I think where Ash is as a character at this point in the story, if you want to look at this as like a 1, 2, 3. I think where his character is at this point in the story, he's just done. He's just done with all this shit. Like, one of my favorite little moments with Ash in this is he is supposed to go retrieve the Necronomicon, but when he grabs the Necronomicon, he's supposed to say this passage, the Klaatu Virata Niktu, and he fucks up the last word. And which I don't know how you feel about that, but I think that's a funny scene where he's like, Klaatu Virata, and he just like covers his mouth. I think that's a funny scene. I think it's funny. I think it's in line with Ash's character for him to not know the words properly. But then when he gets back, I don't know if you caught this, everybody's like hailing him as a hero and they're like patting him on the back, and he's just like trying to ignore people because he knows he's fucked up. And as he's pushing past people, the one guy like says something to him like, "Oh, thank you so much," and he goes, "Yeah, get the fuck out of my face." I love it. He's a selfish asshole. He's like that reluctant hero, and I think it works in this movie personally. But I get.
Yeah, I think leaning too much into fantasy, it just didn't work. It works for me in terms of like I enjoy it. I just don't enjoy it as much as 2. And I don't think I don't think it's as strong. I just think the overall experience is. It feels too punchliney to me, and I that's what they wanted to do. Sure, yeah, they wanted to go for punchlines, and they gave it to us. I don't think it works as much. I think it's just too heavy on it. However, I will say, I said in the last episode, what I like more than what was the line you quoted in the second one that you liked a lot? You liked groovy, and I said, I like it. I don't love it.
Groovy.
I said there's a line I like more with his delivery in the third one. Kind of wish you opened with it, but it's when
which one is it? There's so many one-liners in this movie.
Yeah, though. But there's like a clear best to me. I don't like a lot of them, but I like this one, and it's so simple. Yoshi bitch, let's go. I love Yoshi bitch so much that like I don't know. I think it's just the way he delivered. It's so matter of fact. It's so abrupt. I'm not expecting it. I like that more than
That's
I like that more than Hail to the King. I like that more than Give Me Some Sugar Baby. I don't know.
the give me the sugar, give me some sugar, baby. Apparently that was added last minute. Apparently Sam Raimi, on top of liking the idea of torturing his actors and putting them through tumultuous filmmaking processes, he also loves right before a scene is filming to add in new lines of dialogue. And apparently the "Give Me Some Sugar, Baby" was a last minute addition right before they had filmed that scene. So, but no, listen, I get where a lot of your criticisms are coming from. It's not that I completely agree. Again, I don't think there's this like big drop in quality. I think there is still a lot of great stuff in this movie, and it's not just. I don't just enjoy it because it's fun. I just still genuinely think it's well made. I like the music a lot. I love like I already kind of harped on, I love the sets. I love the costumes. I love the production design, which is something that I know you're usually a pretty big proponent of. I think all of that for the budget looks really great. And sure, there's not a ton of locations in the film, and they kind of stick to a handful. I love the little quest that Ash goes on, where granted, if you don't like the whole bad Ash situation, then that can definitely hinder the movie significantly for you. But I think it's a fun inclusion. I think it's a
I like
nice
the windmill set. I like the windmill set. I think that was like that was like a nice that was like a nice like kind of it had the cabin feel. So I like that they kept that aesthetic.
Yeah.
With the windmill. Do you like the mini Ashes?
They're hilarious. Sure, it doesn't look amazing. Like obviously, it for that
when
budget.
He swallows it.
Yeah. So there is that scene with the little mini Ashes attacking Big Ash, and there's like a shot where the two mini Ashes like hold his mouth open. It doesn't look good. And those are moments where it is more of an actual criticism and hurts the score of this movie. I just don't agree. I just don't agree that it's like this big drop in quality compared to the first two.
I don't even think a big drop. I don't even think a big drop. I just think it's a drop in quality.
It is, but I think because, going back to scores, knowing your score for the movie, I think it is a pretty significant drop.
Actually, yeah. No, you know what? It's a decent drop off in quality.
I guess I just don't. I think it is a drop off from 2, absolutely. But I think in terms of what I get out of the overall like experience of watching the movie, not just because it's fun or not just because I think it's very funny, but I just think it's still like if you watched this movie and you hadn't seen Evil Dead 1 or 2, and I think that's what's hurting a lot of your perception of this movie, is these are the things that I got out of 1 and 2 that I wish I got in 3. Whereas I think if you look at each film as like an individual piece of this puzzle and just appreciate all of the different things that each one brings to the table, that first one being that straight up atmospheric tension building horror film, the second one going batshit crazy and leaning more into the comedy and horror elements, and then this third film which has the comedy, which has the horror at certain parts, but also infuses this sort of fantasy adventure epic. I think all of that just makes it a very good movie overall. I'm not saying this is like the best film ever made or it's one of the best fantasy films ever made, but I think it's a very, very good fantasy comedy horror film. I think it blends a lot of genres very well. Like I like the horror aspects, I like the comedy aspects, and I like the fantasy aspects.
Maybe I missed something. I don't get much horror in this. Like yeah, I do, but like not really. Compared to like 1 and 2, I don't. I think it gets lost.
Less, but
it gets lost. It's like
no, that's fair.
I don't know.
That's entirely fair.
And it's hard to not look at something that's part of a series. It's hard to not compare it when I have two films that genuinely impressed me. Like watching each of those, I watched it feeling like, wow, that was really great. This was really impressive. This was really creative. I never got that from Army of Darkness. I got a very fun time with pretty good stuff. Like there's pretty good stuff, and I think I don't think everything's great in that movie. I think there's some stuff that isn't that good, but I never watched any part of that film and said, "Ooh, that's really really great." There's like some really good moments, I guess, like small moments, but like nothing that impressed me. And I have to remember that the first two did that for me. So that's kind of where I'm at with Army of Darkness. Now, I still love it. I have a great time with it. But now I wanted to ask you. We're not talking about it. I don't know if we're waiting for it, but which ending do you like better?
I think I like the alternate ending a little bit better. That's so if you want to talk about like genuine criticisms I have,
Yeah.
I don't love that final scene at S
I thought you
Mart.
would have loved it.
No, and it's not like I hate it. I just think that the original alternate ending, for those wondering, in the alternate ending of the film, Ash oversleeps, I believe, and ends up. It's like he wakes up and it's like a destroyed cityscape, right? Like
Yeah.
everything is destroyed and shambles.
It's like a
and
futuristic like London or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. And I think that is par for the course. There's a little bit of dark comedy and just it feels like that ending fits in line better with the trilogy as a
Yes.
whole, fitting into those kind of darker comedy
Yeah.
roots a little bit more. But
So it's funny because I watched it last night with Lauren, and I asked her which ending she liked better. Well, no, she asked me which one I liked better. And at first, I think I said the supermarket ending. I changed my mind. I actually liked the alternate one more. And I think I said I liked it more because that is one of the scenes I remembered the most. For some reason, I don't know why the supermarket scene stuck out to me. I think it's when he's riding the cart. I actually like that.
that
Shot
that
a
is
lot.
fun.
Like
It
that's
is
just
fun.
a badass part that I like. But it feels so jarring to go to that. Whereas like the oversleeping, I like that it plays into him just being a fucking buffoon.
Yeah.
Kind of like I like
Yeah.
that, and I don't know if I think they did that because they were like teasing a possible fourth of like a futuristic like Evil Dead picture. So
I could see it. I could see it. But
yeah,
yeah,
so like,
I don't
the
love
ending.
the ending.
The ending
I
is
think
it's fun. It's still fun, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me.
I think the ending is probably the weakest of the three. I definitely think it has like the weakest climax, not climax, because I guess the climax would be like the end of the battle. But no, I overall though, kind of closing thoughts on the movie because I feel like we're kind of getting towards the end. Let me kind of dig through my notes and just see if
Yeah.
So one thing that I did appreciate in this movie is just in terms of direction. I think there's like a lot of great work with extras. It's something that you don't really get in the first two films because it is the setting and the story that's being told is much more isolated. So you only have like a handful of main characters in the film. But with this one, again, with that fantasy setting and landscape, you get a lot of good wide shots with a lot of extras intermingling and moving around and I don't know. I think there's a lot of
Oh yeah, you
a
do
lot
love
of
extra
larger
work. You like that?
Yeah,
like,
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's something we highlighted in the first Jaws movie that's just not present in Jaws 2, 3, and 4. And I think there's a lot of good stuff in this film, particularly with extras. And again, I like those costumes. I do really like those sets that they built and just a lot of the kind of prosthetics and practical effects and special effects makeup. And yeah. I had also mentioned in my notes, I already kind of highlighted it, but the sword fight choreography has no right to be that good. That's a great shot. That little shot when he does the little flip and the camera kind of moves with him.
yeah.
That's a great shot, dude.
I-
I'm telling you,
yeah,
there's
there's
great stuff in here. There's great stuff in here. And I think I get where your criticisms are. I guess I'm not in that same boat. Or they just don't weigh the movie down for me as much as they do you. But
I like the
I
pit,
don't-
I like the pit scene. We didn't really talk about that. I
Yeah,
think that's
it's
I
great
think that's actually one of the scenes that it felt like it kept that comedy that I liked so much in the second one.
yeah.
But then I kind of it got lost for me a little bit. There's like some scenes where it still is there, but yeah, it's just maybe it just wasn't as much as I wanted from it. I don't know. I also didn't remember a lot of this when I rewatched it, so yeah, I don't know.
That's fair. No. Any other thoughts or opinions on Army of Darkness, or should we get into scores and get up on out of here?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good.
All right, then.
I do
Yeah.
like I might have to rewatch the second one. In the shed when he's building the chainsaw. Are those shots, aren't they just still shots? I think cuz this one feels more Edgar Wright to me when he's building the hand.
Oh, it's like the exact same.
Is it cuz I noticed
Yeah.
the zooms in this one but I didn't do the zooms happen in the second one?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh. All right, maybe.
There's even some Edgar Wright stuff in that kind of first one. I guess it's Raimi stuff that Edgar Wright would end up doing too. But there's even because one thing that I had noted, and I forgot to mention it when we were talking about the first Evil Dead during that discussion, but even like the little stuff that normal directors just wouldn't pay mind to or try to shoot creatively, like the scene when I think it's Scotty is trying to lock the cellar, or it's either Scotty or Ash, and it's like a little mini tracking shot of their hands pulling the chain through each loop. And it's only a couple of seconds, but so many other directors, I feel like, would just do like an insert shot of them doing it under one belt loop and then cut it. But it like follows their hands as they're weaving the chain through the cellar door. And I thought that was pretty great. But yeah, I love the one-liners in this movie. They're so fucking good.
I like a couple. Some
I like
just,
them all. It's fine. It's fine. You either give yourself up to the insanity or you don't, and it just doesn't sound like you do.
I didn't give because I gave myself up to the insanity of the second one, and that one's batshit crazy. I gave myself up to that. Well, I just didn't fully give myself up to the fantasy. I guess I don't. No, you know what? No, I did. It's not even that. It's not even like I can't. It's not even like I can't like appreciate a different tone. I can. I just don't think it's done that well. That's my problem. I think just because it does something and just because it has a goal and it does that goal to an extent, it doesn't mean I think they do it well or as well as I wish.
I guess that's just where we differ. I think I really like the fantasy elements of this movie, and again, the comedy works really well for me. I was constantly laughing throughout the experience of watching this. But shall we get into scores?
Yeah, I guess I should start, right?
Yep. I did Evil Dead 2 first, so.
All right, so I am going to land on a very good in my eyes. All right. It's a 6.7 out of 10. That is a very solid score for me, I think.
It's not.
This guy.
Yeah. I am going to go with slightly below what I gave the first Evil Dead, and I'm going to give it an 8.2 out of 10. I think it's great. I think it's a great fantasy movie. Again, you can even say that like, oh, I didn't notice as much good filmmaking in this as the other two. I still think that the shots are great. I think that the music is better than it has been. The editing was a little bit cleaner to me in this one than the previous two, and where it maybe lacks in story and overall just atmosphere or intensity in terms of like the horror elements, I think it makes up for it with some really good comedy and some just really good fantasy stuff. But I really enjoy it. And it's not just because I think it's fun. I just think it's that well made.
8.2 is high. I'm gonna start looking at your movies that are an 8. I'm gonna.
That's fine. It's better than the Holdovers.
Okay, let's get on to. Let's just get on with it.
All right. Well, of course, guys. Oh, wait. I have a question to ask Josh.
I don't want it.
Before we get into our plugs and head up on out of here, Josh. I'm going to get my timer ready. If you guys don't know how we do things here, if you're new to the podcast, we ask Josh a question at the end of the episode, and I give him a 20-second time clock to answer the question, and he has to answer it because I like stressing Josh out, and he never knows what I have planned. So, also, guys, the sun went down during the recording, so if I look a little dark, I can already see the bags under my eyes. I gotta get some more lights, I guess. We'll see in the future. We're just starting to do video for the first time recently, so give us a little bit of grace period. All right, my question for Josh: what is the worst Radiohead song of all time? Your time begins now.
I'm just gonna go Hunting Bears.
Oh, okay. What album's that off of again?
Amnesiac.
Nah, there's got to be a song on King of Limbs that's worse.
No, there's not.
I like Amnesiac. Amnesiac's a good album.
It's so great, but Hunting Bears it's kind of like it's kind of an interlude, but whatever.
Oh, if we're talking interludes, I thought you were gonna go with Faust Arp off of In
No,
Rainbows.
I don't mind that one. I don't mind that one for an interlude. But Hunting Bears just doesn't do it for me.
That's fair.
I don't know if you remember it, but go listen to it.
I haven't listened to Amnesiac in a minute. But I'll give it a shot. All right, guys. Well, of course, thank you for listening to us close out our little Raimi trilogy. We are continuing with The Evil Dead. 2 weeks from now, on Tuesday, you will be getting the 2013 Evil Dead remake from director Fede Alvarez, which is a movie that I kind of like, but I'm excited to revisit it. And then that Thursday, you will be getting 2023's Evil Dead Rise, which I'm excited to hear Josh's opinions on. So we'll get ready for that. Josh, they can see you rolling your eyes now. Don't lend your hand too much.
I'm not.
Buddy.
I'm not. I'm excited to rewatch it.
Go in with an open mind, pal.
I'll try.
With an open mind.
I'll try.
We'll see how it is. We'll see if we like it better or worse. But yes, of course, if you guys are listening on YouTube, we are on my personal YouTube channel, Former Film Student, where I post other TV and movie-related content. So definitely subscribe here, as well as leaving a like, turn on the little bell button so you get notifications when we post new content or when I post new content myself. And we're over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so make sure to give us a 5-star review over there, as well as follow us. And I think you can leave comments on Spotify. Not sure about Apple Podcast, but either way, interact with us, guys. But that's it for me.
All right, guys. Had a great time talking about this, even though I got a little frustrated here and there. But yeah, give us a follow over on Instagram. That's where we're going to be updating you guys on future episodes and current ones that are out. Comment, DM us any criticisms you got, any suggestions you have. If you give us some movie series, we'll gladly take it in consideration. But or email us at franchisedeepdive@gmail.com. But yeah, and I just want to point out, guys, if you remember our ratings, just know, I believe I gave Evil Dead 2 an 8.2, and I gave Army of Darkness a 6.7. I believe Jake gave a 9.5 and an 8.2. We pretty much have the same gap in a point
Difference
rating.
is I still love all three, and you hate Army of Darkness.
I love Army of Darkness. I don't know what
you
you're
do have the
talking
shirt.
about.
I gotta get myself an Evil Dead 2 shirt. Yeah.
So
all right,
yeah,
guys. Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's all we got.
Thank you again for listening. And like Josh said, give us some feedback. Let us know if you like the video format, if you like us breaking up the franchises into individual movie discussions instead of uploading it into one big chunk. If you're a returning viewer and you listen to our older stuff where we did release multiple movies discussed in one episode, let us know if you like the change in format or if you preferred the old one, and then we'd go back to that. But I'm kind of liking this new format, so hope you guys enjoy it too. Of course, as always, thank you one more time for listening to us over here at Franchise Deep Dive, and we will catch you on the next episode where, once again, we are talking about 2013's Evil Dead remake from Fede Alvarez. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the next episode, make sure to watch that before the next episode, again, releasing 2 weeks from now on Tuesday. And that's it, guys. Goodbye.
Later.